Okay, so look, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about how I almost went to jail with a bunch of blood on me. Okay, so look, this phone, I just got back today, and already, like, the demons are like it, amplifying the feeling of a panic that's a, that the phone is going to cut off. So that's the trauma that comes with the other phone cutting off and me not being able to get what I need to say out. I'm overriding that by knowing better, but they still are applying it, which means I still feel it. So I feel that panic. Um, that's the church's property. In between the church, the project, that's like a project over there, I think, project housing. And then another church, so it's like a triangle kind of, and then on this side it's like a storage unit, then another church across the street. So I was going to tell you something about that, but that would be out of order. Let me focus on what I was going to say. So this is about how I almost went to jail. But look, there's so many details. Because I just got this phone back today, I didn't get to catch up like I thought I would about recent days. This is my 15th. Tonight will be my 15th night outside. And it will be like my 11th night with no money or something like that. I haven't had money since the 19th of July. Oh, look at my cute puppy. My hubby goes though. Well, watch this. Oh, he didn't go. He just came out of there. He goes right back off up in there into those woods. But let me tell you what made me laugh. This is just some side information before I get into the story. That's out there is where we were sitting earlier today. That's where I got picked up by the elder that took me to go get something to. He took me up the street to Wendy's to get something to eat, and then we came back. We checked on the dog, and then we went for him to check with a client or a guy he works with in the tree cutting business. Anyways, so after when he had like half of a Dave's burger, a Dave's Devil. Okay, so when I first got up here, because I let him roam. This is a like unoccupied space. You know, there's a fence, like I said, over there for the apartments, and then there's a fence for the church. The church has roving security, so they ride around it. I only talked to one of the security guards, and the space in between that has like it's not a cul-de-sac, but it's like a little spot down there where you can turn around. It's normally like just nothing goes on here. You don't see any traffic come down here. I'm talking about throughout the day. Like, I've never really stayed here a whole day, but you know what I'm saying? Like, definitely for hours at a time, 6 to 8 hours at a time. And there's only about 2 or 3 cars, random cars that pass through, but most of the time none. Okay, and the 2 or 3 cars, I notice it always kind of almost happens when their ops are getting compromised and they need to act like someone saw me. So they're claiming that whoever passed knows me or knows of me, and they're suggesting that I know them. Okay. So yeah, it's normally unoccupied. He doesn't play in the street. He stays in this like little half sand, half grass area, but he goes off into those woods. But right up there where we were sitting earlier, where I got picked up, I noticed I wasn't paying him any attention, and he had wandered off. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, oh, he's just working on his responsibility. So he's like, you know, he's in the wood line, is what I thought, or whatever. But when I got up to go check on him, I made sure I checked there first, because I was like, if he went that way, that I was going to get him, because he knows he doesn't do that. Okay, I had just said if he'd been from around that corner, that while I was calling him, that I was going to get him. So look, check this out. I go that way because I'm like, I wanted to exhaust it first, okay? And to be honest, I went that way because, like, I was like, if I exhaust that, I didn't even have to, call for him anymore. I could just be sure he was in the wood line and know that he doesn't have anywhere to go past it. It was all fenced in. I mean, worst case scenario, he comes out with his paws black and it'll eventually dry, like the mud will eventually dry and it'll come off. They used that one day. He came out all four paws black, and they used it to further call him a Malinois, Belgian Malinois. So I go and I check, and ain't he sitting right there where me and him were sitting, just chilling and shit? Like, he waiting on a car to come pick him up. Y'all, I couldn't even get mad. I started laughing. I laughed so damn hard. Told him to get back here. He finally, he comes, takes his time coming back or whatever. I told him, I said, don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever go out there. Because it's just the plain road. And the crazy part is, from that road right there, like where he was sitting, all the traffic is passing. If they were to look in this direction, look down this street, they see him. Just sitting there by himself, like a big ass dog, just sitting there by himself on an open road, just out in the open, in between two fences. So it made me laugh. That's the story. End of that story. So they panicked when I left the hotel. Damn, this is 2 weeks ago, y'all. They panicked when I left the hotel. Remember my last night there, I wasn't able to pay for it, okay? And there were a lot of things that were supposed to transpire that day that didn't, and it went on to the point where I had to come back and check on the dog and allow him to relieve himself. That was the first time in the longest time he had been alone by himself. Normally he might get 3 hours alone, but he was alone over 8 hours, like it was 8-9 hours. A whole work day, okay? And when I got back, he wasn't even excited to see me. He just was so chill, kind of aggravated, like he just, wanted to make his way outside and use the bathroom. Normally he's like, oh, you're back, and gets real excited and stuff, and he just did not. He had a whole attitude. Look at him, little wolf doggy. He's such a whole wolf. Look at him cute self. Look, and he's trying not to fall asleep. He needs to just let go. I catch them sedating him too. And this is almost what it looks like when they're sedating him. His symptoms are very similar to what I do when they sedate me. Anyhow, I didn't realize it had been that long ago. So this is Sunday we're talking about. Check out that Sunday morning, and I shoot the hotel manager and desk staff an email about a potential remedy for the day that I couldn't pay for. My solution to that was that they, how like in the gas folios when you leave you normally have a zero balance. I suggested they could apply the balance to my gas folio, and before I checked in to another room there, I would have to pay that first. That was my solution. So anyways, but there was a lot of personal spilling that went on about that, about the manager, about the email, whether or not they would let him read it. They have this thing for Mike. It's something about the manager Mike that I want to talk about all the cursing and spelling they did surrounding me and him, implying that he was going to come on to me in a sexual manner. But I really don't have time for that because this battery is low. He never did charge the phone. He said he did charge it, but I mean, it was no battery. Okay, so after I bugged him about this phone enough, he finally found it in the car. Okay, and then I plugged it in. Okay, and found out that it had no charge. So when I left or with him, it only had 9%. So that's what I'm working with, and I need to make sure I hang on to this. And I'm going to try. I made an arrangement yesterday with the manager that works at Texaco to pretty much allow me advances until I get paid on Thursday, so that for survival. And pretty much he granted me what the other store wouldn't, and that's how they get out of situations. Remember I said when someone does something that they're not supposed to, or does something that they should do, you know, they always wait to for a similar opportunity to present itself and to combat it. So, but they will be opposite in nature, the same in nature, but opposite in response. So one will be yes, one will be no, one will be right, one will be wrong. So since I had a wrong response on the east side of Atlanta, they gave me a right response here. So yeah, I made that arrangement, and he asked. The funny part is, last time I told him and I showed him or whatnot, and he said, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "Can I have a beer?" You know, and he said, "Go ahead," or whatever. And but remember, at the other, that's how the two differ. Okay, there's always like little details, like little things that make them different. The two. Anyways, I told you about that. I made that arrangement to tell you that hopefully when I go there this evening, while he's there, that I will be able to get a phone charger and apply it to my due balance. Okay. That's the only reason I threw that detail in there, to tell you that I'm hoping I find a solution for this tonight. And then I could go somewhere and I could charge the phone overnight. Go somewhere and charge the phone overnight. And, where's my dog? Oh. Right there being a whole German Shepherd. Oh, I get my doggy. Okay, so I'm concerned about my battery, and I don't think I'm going to get to finish this story. I'm going to try to make it short. No, this is enough, because this is enough to remind me to, at some point or another, talk about it.